African stakeholders meeting in Nairobi, Kenya for the third EU-Africa Business Forum are pressing the issue of increasing regional integration and the notion of an EU-like economic bloc to achieve prosperity, well-being of the people and development in the African region. Here's more. Nearly 300 business leaders and government officials gathered in Nairobi for the two-day event themed Africa and Europe on the road to new win-win partnerships aimed to improve the business climate in Africa and promote investment. The event coincided with warnings of travel restrictions against Kenyan officials by the Obama administration, a reflection of growing frustration in Washington given the lack of reforms in the wake of the violence which followed disputed elections in 2007.
We still have to work hard. We don't anticipate, because people have maybe a mistaken notion that maybe because the president of the US has some roots in Kenya, then it should be a free ride. Naturally not. We still have an obligation to make sure that we do the right thing for the Kenyan people, but at the same time maintain our relationship with our international partners.
The meeting convened during challenging times, with economic growth in Africa expected to be 2.8% in 2009, following 5 years of consecutive growth above 5.5%. The EU has now pledged $5 billion in funding, out of which $1.5 billion are designated for regional integration.
Now more than ever, we need good policy in place, a good and enabling framework in place, which is for the public, for the state, for the policy making and private sector, fully exploiting, having access to credit, having access to knowledge, having access to skills in order to take all this challenge together. In this is a clear example of the partnership between Europe and Africa.
During the forum, various recommendations that would also contribute to growth in key sectors were outlined. For instance, there was consensus that the continent needs to change its policy objective from poverty reduction to wealth creation, as well as the need to improve the availability and accessibility of project financing across the continent. Information communication technology was identified as an essential tool to improve the delivery of sustainable development, and as such, budgetary allocation need to be made and in some cases increased to achieve these goals.
We are seeing African countries who are making the effort being, rewarded. Look at a country like Ghana. President Barack Obama barely took office, but he come to Africa, and where does he go? He goes to Ghana. These kind of things are actually showing other countries that the time where you could actually drag your feet and refuse this kind of reform and introduction of technology into your system, that time is past. If you do that, you're going to end up being marginalized.